What's up, guys? Coach Seth here, Superior Athletes. So today we're going to be talking about patellar tendonitis. Patellar tendonitis, jumper's knee, patellar tendinopathy. This is a very popular injury whenever we're talking about basketball. So I just wanted to go over the process of really like the best way I like to rehab something like this. And this is going to be a good way to prevent it as well. So this can be if you have it right now, but this can also be something that you've had in the past that you just want to make sure it doesn't happen again. You can use this for any of that. But if you're new here, my name is Seth Thomas. I'm a strength and conditioning coach, and I hope you guys become better athletes for basketball. So if you're interested in more videos just like this one, make sure to subscribe and click the bell to get notified for each one of my videos. Also, make sure to check the description box down below for all my links, as well as my channel merch link. All right, so for something like this, the very first thing you need to do is basically just go over a little evaluation for yourself. You need to figure out the severity of this. Most of us are probably going to do like a little self-diagnosis. I want to be very clear. I'm not a doctor, so I can't diagnose anything for you guys. I'm just going off of experience and research of everything that I'm talking about today. So the best resort is going to be to get a clear diagnosis of what you have, especially if it's pretty severe. If it feels very painful, very sharp pain, you're gonna need to get it checked out at some point. But if you feel like it's just more of a nagging pain or just discomfort, I think it's something that you can kind of manage yourself. So you can do like a little self-evaluation on yourself. The first thing you're gonna do is just walk. If you are walking and you notice it. It's just all about just paying very close attention to your pain level, your discomfort level. So if you can feel it whenever you walk, you know that it's probably pretty severe. But if you can walk and you don't feel it at all, then move on to the next step, which would be just a light jog. So if you can jog without feeling anything, make notes of this as well. You can write down what type of pain you're feeling. Do a little scale of 1 to 10. How much pain is it whenever I do this? All this is going to help you throughout the process of your rehab. And if you don't feel anything whenever you do a light jog, go into a sprint, and that would be the next progression to see if you feel any pain there. And then after that, I like to do a full range squat. So if you can do a full range squat without any pain, that's good news. That means the severity level is pretty low. And then you could try some light plyos, like some pogos or something like that. You probably don't want to do much of high intensity plyometrics. Once again, guys, it depends on that severity level. So if you feel like your severity level is pretty low, a lot of times you can do some high intensity plyos. You just have to monitor it very close. But this is just a good way to see where that severity level is, because it's going to be different for everybody. Depending on the severity, the progression is going to be slower. You're not going to be able to do certain things if the severity level is pretty high, and vice versa. So self-evaluation first, and that's kind of like the little mini evaluation I like to go through with this type of injury. So then we can go into like trying to plan out what we're trying to do here. So I like to say for knee strength and knee health, starting out, it's not necessarily about what exercises you choose or what exercises you do for your knees. It's more about how you progress and regress certain exercises. So a quick progression, but also a steady progression at the same time is what we're going to be looking for here. Most of the time, what people do is they progress too quickly or they progress too slowly. That's a big mistake a lot of the times with this sort of thing. So progression and regression is going to be huge with developing that knee strength. Also, what we're going to be doing, we're going to be needing to strengthen the tendon itself. That's going to be a goal. But at first, we need to focus on the muscle strength of the legs. So we're going to be doing a lot of hypertrophy stuff at first. Not necessarily big hypertrophy. You don't want like these big gigantic legs whenever we're playing basketball. A lot of times that just weighs us down and creates more problems, because if you have more weight, the more weight you have, the more pressure you're going to be putting on the knees. So not necessarily about a bunch of hypertrophy. That's going to be an issue most of the time with jumper's knee. So the first thing we're going to do is develop the muscles in the legs, because most of the time that's what this is caused from, is muscle imbalance. So we're going to be doing a lot of single leg stuff, because if you have this sort of injury and you're doing like squats all the time and you're wondering why nothing's making this better, well, naturally you're just going to be favoring the iffy side. So that's even going to create more imbalances. So I like to stick with like single leg stuff. You can do bilateral stuff here and there, but the main focus needs to be unilateral single legs, especially with stuff like strength. Okay, so the example exercise I'm going to give to you is one of my favorites for this, but like I said, it's not necessarily about the exercise. It's more about how you progress the exercise. So the exercise example that I'm going to go off today is a single leg squat step down. This is basically a single leg squat, but with the step downs, there's so many ways to progress and regress this movement rather than just doing a single leg squat, because a single leg squat itself is just going to be too challenging, especially if you have a pretty severe level of patellar tendonitis. With this, the first thing you're going to start off with is going to be the height level. You can start off with 6 inches if you need to, and just go down 6 inches. What we're going to do with this, make sure we're having flat foot on the ground. Most of the weight is going to be distributed to the heel, and you're just going to tap the floor with your heel, with your opposite heel. This way, you're not using any help with the toes leading into the heel. We're just going with the heel. That way, all of the pressure is going to be on that planted side. So you can start off with 6 inches if you need to. A lot of times I like to do 12 inches with the height. But the first thing we're going to do is just focus on eccentrically. Going down eccentrically, nice and slow, 3-second count. This is going to help with that stability as well, which is really important with jumper's knee. So just going down slow. Once you get to the bottom, then you're going to basically push yourself up with the opposite side. Progress this pretty fast in some cases, meaning like if you go 3 days a week with this, this can be the only day, and then the next day is actually going to be the progression without having to do that again. Now, once again, depending on the severity of it, if you feel like you got a pretty high severity level, then you're going to want to do this progression 1, 2 workouts, maybe even 3. We're going to try to go like 3 days a week with our workouts, with 1 day of rest in the middle. I know there's a lot that I'm talking about in this video, guys, so I'm hopefully making this as simple as I can with giving you as much information as I can. But let's say we're going 3 days a week, Monday, Wednesday, Friday, with that 1 day of rest in the middle. The more frequently you work out is going to be better, but at the same time, we want that rest in. So that 1 day of rest in between is going to be more ideal. This just means we can't go crazy in our workout. So we're not just going to kill our knees, because that's just going to be too much. Okay, so the progression for that, the next step would be to increase the platform size. So maybe up to 18 inches. Before you go to the 24 inches, you're going to want to start to go concentrically. But whenever we go concentrically, like say we do the 18 inches the next day, same thing. We're going down 3-second count and then helping up with that other side. Then once we progress it from there, we're going to work on that concentric. But when we do the concentric, we're going to bring the height back down to 12 inches. And then we're going to focus on that concentrically. For me, the concentric part is where I usually feel a little twinge. And it's okay. I know a lot of the times we say, if you feel sharp shooting pain, stop the exercise, which is true in most situations. But you're going to need to feel at least a little bit of, it's going to be discomfort. It's going to be more of a discomfort feeling than it is going to be pain. But you're going to need to feel a little bit of it at least, because that's going to help build it up. So down to 12 inches, working on that concentric as well, but we're going nice and slow with these. And I like to keep the reps fairly low, 6 to 8 reps on each side. Make sure you get each side, by the way, even if you're not feeling anything in the opposite side. We don't want to create any imbalances, right? So getting both sides the same equally is what we're working on here. And then after that, you can just simply increase it from there, go back up to that 18 inches. So if you do it from that way, then we're up to the 18 inches with the concentrically. So we're 18 inches trying to get to that concentric as well. If you feel like at any point that the pain is just too much, then just pull back on the regression and then just do that for a couple more of your workouts just to build it up a little bit more, and then go into that high-level concentric. Hopefully you guys are keeping up with me on this. Just stick with me here. Past that point, for the 18 inches, you're probably not going to need to go much higher than 18 inches, so it's probably not much about height at that point. Then we're going to be needing to possibly adding more resistance. So holding a dumbbell, holding a backpack, whatever you can get your hands on that's going to create a little bit more resistance. Slowly progress this. So you can start off with 5 pounds if you need, 10 pounds maybe, and just go through that same progression with the weight. You want to pull back on the height level, go back to that eccentric, and this is how you need to progress it. It's very tedious. I'm not going to lie. It's very tedious, but that slow progression is what's going to be necessary to help this injury. Hopefully that progression style makes sense for you. Let's go ahead and move on to the next thing. A couple more things here. Depending on the severity of your knee, I've talked about this a lot, but depending on the severity of it, you're going to be needing to do some mixing in some low-level plyos. Now remember, we don't want to go crazy with these. We want to keep these workouts light. We want to make sure we get that proper stimulus without overdoing the knee, because we don't want to make it worse. That's why I say you want to monitor your pain level very, very closely. So that leads me to the last thing I want to talk about. Once you get to a certain level, once you feel like, okay, my tendon's starting to feel pretty good. I can still feel that it's there, but it's starting to get pretty good. My legs are getting stronger. I'm building up that stability. The low-level plyos are feeling pretty good. Then you can start to get more specific with the knee joint. So for this type of thing, you want to be very careful. You want to make sure you do your own research. I haven't done a lot of talk about something like this, but the knees over toes position is very important for something like that. I think this gets neglected, and that's why our tendons are so brittle, because we don't have the preparation of the knees over toes. We're taught to never put your knees over your toes. With basketball, it's completely different. That's just thrown out the window because our knees are over our toes constantly in this sport. So we have to be putting our knees in that position in the weight room. So you could just do like a lunge position, just extending your knee over a little bit. Sometimes the heel comes up off the ground on this, and it's going to feel weird. It's going to feel different. The knee is going to be put in a weird position. But this stuff is going to help that tendon strength. So just remember what I said about progressing things nice and easy. So with this especially, you're going to want to progress it nice and easy as well. Just be very careful with these. You could also do like heel elevated squats. So find like a slant board or a platform, or just put some weighted plates and then just do some squats like that. Do full range squats. Getting to that full range, that full flexion of the knee is what we're trying to do here. So just think about that and think about exercises that can complement something like that. So nice slow progressions of that as well. And I know I kind of breezed over that, which that gets very complicated sometimes. So I'll probably talk a little bit more about that in a future video. But yeah, that's the gist of what I like to go over with your rehab of the knees, of specifically patellar tendonitis. And also I kind of breezed over this as well, but the low level plyos, that needs to be progressed as well. So the low impact one is what I'm talking about here. So we're not just like exploding up and then landing and exploding. We're just doing some low level stuff, maybe even some focused on agility. Agility, actually, I've learned that agility, it puts some stress on the knee. You know, it's contracting everything, but it's not necessarily much impact on it. So it's not just beating it down. So agility is very important as well, that you can kind of mix in stuff in there. So I know there was a lot of stuff that I went over in this video. Hopefully I kind of made it make sense for you. Let me know in the comments below if you have any questions or anything. Thank you guys so much for watching. Make sure to give the video a thumbs up. If you haven't already, make sure to subscribe and click the bell to get notified for each one of my videos. And I'll see you guys next time.